Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, and I'd like to do a series every now and then on why fishing reels break, or more importantly, problem diagnosis and how to correct. And this one was brought to me by Jim. He brought me a series of reels. I may have previewed them, or I will be previewing those for you. And this is a Penn 309. So this is the Peer 309, and it's the largest of the reels in that series. So you had the 9, the 209, and the 309. And the 309 has the largest capacity of the three. Definitely big water fishing, big fish fishing. And this one just plain doesn't turn. Something's really wrong with this one. So initially I looked at this reel and I thought maybe we have a bent worm gear. It just kind of looks a little bit odd there, but it could be that the shield is worn. So when you do problem diagnosis, what you want to do is you want to do a process of elimination. And then if you find that you're correct in your identification of the issue, then you want to just continue with the break apart of the reel so that you, when you go to order a replacement part, if one of them is broken, and something is definitely seized up here, but if you go to do the replacement part, don't just assume that the one part that you found broken was it. There's always a cause and effect behind this. And when you do a cause and effect type of analysis, you have to go and understand the other working parts in the assembly. And you certainly want to check those to make sure that the parts that you're going to order are the only parts you're going to need. And you're taking care to make sure you don't have to go back and order a second set. Well, on the 309, one of the things that always hangs up is this line gear. As I said, I have a suspicion that maybe we have a bent or bowed worm gear. And one of the things that's kind of telling me that is this is out of its track. This belongs in the track inside here. There's a little groove in that top bar where the top of the line guide would go. Well, it's out. So that tells me that somehow, possibly, this got damaged. So how do we test for that when I have a frozen reel without taking the whole reel apart? Well, we want to do this. We want to remove this little end cap here to give you access to pull that and see if it restores the reel to its function. So while I'm doing this, I want to encourage all of you to subscribe to my channel, and I especially want to thank everyone who has. We just went over 16,000 subscribers, and I really do appreciate everybody subscribing. Well, why should you subscribe? Well, the best and most effective answer is you'll see everything that I post. And if you like the art of reel repair, if you like to see how reels come apart, if you like things like this, what's the problem with the reel? Well, the best thing to do is subscribe. And when you subscribe, hit that notification button. The reason that you do that is that you'll see everything that I post, and you can make a decision as to whether you want to see me work on that particular reel. And if it isn't something that interests you, then by all means, just you can pass on. All right, we took the side plate adjuster out. It's a little screw, belongs in the side plate here. And when you do that, you can take the pawl out, and the line guide and the worm gear can all come out, just like that. You pull it out so that you can pull it through, and then you can back it down and remove it. Well, let's see if this is the issue. Right now, if this is bent, we're not going to be able to move this. Well, there you go. That's the issue. Okay. Well, remember what I said about you just don't want to do one piece. In other words, my eyes were pretty good. You can see the bow here in that. And I think if I can find a straight edge here, in the back of this crate, you'll see how it's bowed by looking at the points. Well, that's not going to work, but okay. Do I just want to rush out and get that bowed worm gear replaced? No, I don't want to do that because there's other pieces in this assembly, and I want to make sure that if that is the case, that we take care of them before ordering. Well, the next thing I want to check then is the pawl. The pawl rides in those gaps, and if something caused that worm gear to bow, it may have put pressure onto the pawl. So you want to check that pawl. And if you're going to order, not a bad idea just to go ahead and order a replacement pawl anyway, because the replacement pawl is just not that expensive. And if you're going to spend the money to get a line guide assembly, go ahead and do that. Well, as I'm looking at this now, kind of hard to tell, but you can see one point on this is smaller than the other point. So one of them got damaged in there. The one on the right side, as you're viewing it, is smaller or shorter than the one on the left. So that point is broken off on this side, and that would be it would be ineffective. What would happen is your line guide would get over to the side, and where that point is supposed to grab the worm gear, well, it wouldn't flip it around. So now we know we need a worm shaft and we need a replacement pawl. Well, let's see if we can get the line guide off, because if we can't get the line guide off, well, you need that too. All right, well, the line guide came off, and what you want to check on now is the line guide square? Because if it's not square, it's going to push the line one way or another off of that. So a good way to do that, square it up with the metal frame on the bottom. You can see I have a square side here. Just take a straight edge like this file, square it up, and you can see that we're pretty good. It's not out of a line, so I'm comfortable not having to order the line guide itself. But I do need a pawl. The pawl carrier was fine, that came out. I definitely need a worm gear, and you can see how it's warping or how it's bent. Just by me turning it, you can see how it's out of sync. It's going high and low. So this one needs to be replaced. Please, don't try a quick fix. Don't try putting this in a vise. Don't try wrapping it with a hammer to straighten it up. You're never going to get it right. At least my experience is you're never going to get it right. And chances are if you hit it with a hammer or something, you're going to bend the teeth on this. It's just not worth it. Go get that gear. All right, well, the other component then that could suffer a serious damage is the little plastic idler gear. Because if this one broke and somebody wanted to go ahead and power out of it, well, they could have shredded that idler gear. So we know we need a pawl. We know we need the worm gear. But before you order, you need to find out, do you need that idler gear as well? Now, I'm often asked, why do they make the idler gear in plastic? Well, probably specifically for what just happened here. That becomes the weak link in the line guide drive system. And if you're running into trouble, well, you'd rather break a $2 piece than a $15 piece. Looking at this, the first thing I want to look at on the line guide gear, idler gear, is are all the teeth uniform this way? And I don't see any obvious chips or cracks as I'm looking here. It's all pretty much uniform. I'm going to spin it now, and I'm going to see, does my gear that's driving the line guide gear drive easily, or does it hang up? So I'm turning the white wheel, and you should be seeing the gear below moving. Might be hard on this camera to see that right now, but it seems to be moving pretty smooth. So the last checkpoint you want to do then is you want to check the face of the teeth. That's these. Because what could have happened is, yeah, the outside tooth might be okay, but you may have scored it, or you may have a rut running on the inside. So that's the last piece I'll check. And I'm pretty confident that this idler gear here is doing what it should be doing. So I don't need to replace that, but you know what? That's a $2 part. I've seen the reels fail. Doesn't hurt to go ahead and order that, since I have to order the other pieces. And a big problem with ordering pieces, quite honestly, is that the shipping and handling is pretty expensive. It's $6 or $7. So if I'm going to pay $10 or $12 for the worm gear, and I'm going to order the pawl for $2 or $3, I might as well go ahead and order that idler gear, so that just in case it's not there's something that's not visible that I just did in the check, well, I have it without going back and spending $2 for the idler gear and another $6 or $7 in shipping. So that's it. That's a way to determine why this reel wasn't working. And of course, the other side now says, I've taken that line guide off. Does the reel turn? Well, it does. It's doing everything it should be doing, less the line guide feature. So that's a quick way to do some problem diagnostics and figure out what the issue is. Now, one of the quick things you can do is you can remove that spool, take a look on the inside, and this one's nice and clean, and it doesn't appear to be any damage in there. There does appear to be broken line. So maybe, just maybe, this broken line that's here, I know it's hard to see, it's kind of right there, maybe that broken line had something to do with getting trapped in the line guide and acting kind of as a tourniquet to warp that. So we're going to leave the reel here. I'm going to go order the worm gear. I'm going to order the pawl. I'm going to order a replacement idler gear. And then we're going to put it back together and let it go fishing again. So I hope that was informative. I hope that showed you a little bit about the process of elimination and what you can do in terms of trying to narrow down the issues that you're facing in a reel. And a little bit of a forewarning, just don't buy the one part that's obvious. Make sure you continue in that whole drivetrain to make sure that all of those pieces are functional. So I hope that was informative. I hope it's helpful. To everybody who's a first responder, thank you for everything it is that you do. And that includes our essential personnel, our medical teams, all of the folks that are in uniform and so on. Thank you. To everybody, please stay safe, stay well, and stay watching. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a great day.